Thumb Butte, a prominent, proud landmark in the mountains of central Arizona. It's a very special place.
A place of majestic pine-crested slopes.
And sweeping vistas.
A place of twisting seasonal creeks coursing through a picturesque landscape.
Of rugged rock outcroppings.
Heavy timber.
And intriguing ravines.
Rich in plant and wildlife.
Elevations rising from 5,500 feet at its lowest point to 6,000 at its highest.
On the edge of the city of Prescott
is a place called Hassayampa.
Hello, I'm Dayton Rutkowski, former mayor of the city of Prescott. Yes, this is a special place, one I've known well in my lifetime as a Prescott resident, one with a lot of memories I'll always cherish, because I spent many hours here, and those were special too. We invite you all along to our trip through memory lane to explore part of the legend of Prescott, Arizona. Everybody's hometown. This part of local history, past and present, is Hassayampa. How did it get its name, and what was it? Or should we say, what is it? Its name is derived from the Indian word, Hassayampa, which was originally given to a river in this area, however many years ago, by persons we've either forgotten about or never knew.
What Hassayampa was and is, and will be again, is a long story. A story that began in 1918, almost 80 years ago. Prescott, Arizona was a small but thriving community in that year. Folks who knew about it savored its crystal clear air, breathtaking beauty, and its people. It was a unique city then, is now, and probably always will be. Despite growth that's seen its population rise from just a few thousand back then to over 35,000 today, and closer to 50,000 inclusive of all the outlying areas. Hassayampa, unnamed and unknown in 1918, was just a beautiful piece of ranch land a scant mile plus from the square of downtown Prescott. The Great War in Europe was ending, but in local newspapers, it was competing with something quite different. Something called golf was catching fire in America. That funny game imported from faraway Scotland sometime when. And it was coming to our town. Prescott was progressive. We claimed the world's oldest rodeo, had a fine opera house, the latest movies. Tom Mix made his westerns here in the 20s, and the automobile was no longer a luxury on our streets. We had it all, we thought.
It was the dream of prominent Prescottonians like T.G. Norris, Dr. Harry Southworth, Leroy Anderson, and M.B. Hazeltine, among others, that there should be golf for the enjoyment of the citizens of Prescott. And what these men dreamed usually became a will, and that became a reality.
In short order, the ball was rolling. No pun intended, of course. 150 locals signed up. $15,000 was raised, or would be if all honored their commitments. The search began for just the right place to construct the course, or links in proper jargon of the day. Several sites were considered. Only one was right. An 85-acre parcel was purchased from local rancher H.M. Hartson and his wife Mary, with the spectacular backdrop of the city's popular landmark looming in the background.
Well, that's it. That old mountain had looked down for centuries and had probably seen everything, but nothing like it was going to see now.
From Scotland's famed St. Andrew's Course and late of the eastern U.S. golf professional Jock McLaren was hired to design and lay out a sporty 9-hole course on the newly acquired land. It would be called the Hassayampa Country Club, overpowering the suggested name of Hassayampa Golf Club. When the brush was cleared, ground leveled, and fairways established where once cattle had grazed themselves fat, the dream was real. Sophistication had come, and Mr. McLaren stayed around to acquaint the membership with the etiquette and rules of the new game in town. Naturally, there were some rules of another kind that would be obeyed.
Ladies will not be permitted to wear high heels on the greens.
No automobiles will be driven on the fairways of the golf course. No firearms permitted. No shooting.
Ambitions were high. A clubhouse offering dining facilities, card room, and dancing area signaled a call to an active social life.
A caddy shack where the local teaching professional hung out completed the first years of Hassayampa. The hope was to build a swimming pool and tennis courts, but for reasons unknown, those would have to wait.
There were 115 original members who paid a $100 initiation fee and $40 per year for annual dues. Social memberships were less, and special rates applied to students.
The greens were oiled sand, tees compacted sand, likewise oiled. The fairways, well, they were pretty much like nature intended. Rough, primitive, sparsely vegetated, and tricky. Turf, like the big city courses enjoyed, needs water. Water, then turf were to come. But as the 1920s came and went and the Depression years set in, everything went on hold. In the words of late local historian Lester Budge Ruffner, in the 1930s and following World War II, the Hassayampa Country Club was literally the crown jewel of Prescott's social life. In 1939, Chicago businessman Harvey Corey visited Prescott on the advice of a friend, fell in love with the community, and envisioned it his retirement home. An industrialist and president of the Corey Glass Coffee Brewer Corporation of Chicago, he was the right man at the right time. The country club had fallen on hard times, apparently from cash flow problems, and Corey purchased it. His grandson remembers him.
My grandfather, I was once told, had 4 passions in life. First was his family. Second, a genius for invention that made him very successful in business. Third was golf. Sometimes I think golf was his second passion because he played every day, weather notwithstanding, once he made his home here. Fourth must have been children. He liked having them around.
Among the first things Corey would do was fulfill the original founders' plans to build a swimming pool, tennis court, and a playground for youngsters. He demolished the old clubhouse and built his residence on that site, constructing a new, larger clubhouse in the rustic style of the old caddy shack that became part of the facility. It featured a lounge, banquet room, kitchen, and many other amenities. Membership cost was kept low, extremely reasonable when the reorganization took place. The fee as late as 1955 for a family membership was $90, actually $10 less than the initiation fee of 1919. Singles could join for a one-time fee of $45. Hassayampa's annual Labor Day Invitational Tournament drew amateur entrants from several states and was a must for Phoenix golfers. It was something of a bona fide Arizona institution. Corey purchased additional land bordering the course, intent, I think, that he would one day add another 9 holes once he figured out the water problem. He had also built 12 residences on the property, which he rented.
The emphasis was on family environment. Swimming, potluck suppers, dinner dances, bridge, and other events were enthusiastically attended.
Wells drilled to find water proved unproductive, and Corey wouldn't see his own dream of a turf course in his lifetime. He did away with the sand greens early on, replacing them with cottonseed, something in use on rural Midwestern courses, and an improvement over sand.
The product was actually cotton hulls with some cotton still attached. The waste from the cotton gins in southern Arizona. In its natural state, it was much like upholstery stuffing. It was compacted and oiled and leveled, and then rolled with heavy spike rollers to form a smooth putting surface. In the summer months and on weekends when play was heavy, greens would have to be rolled 2 and 3 times a day.
In 1949, Corey passed away, causing a void in the long search for affordable water.
Pop Corey, as my sister and I called him, I think had an idea how to get water to his golf course, but unfortunately that went with him when he passed away. I think had he lived, he would have found a way to bring water and we would have had a grass golf course.
In 1957, a water source was found. A private water company providing service to a neighboring development had a surplus after winter snowmelt and summer rains. At that point, the Corey family leased the course to the members. A non-profit corporation formed, and the transformation to an all-grass course was realized. It featured some of the best greens in the Southwest. John Hanley was its designer.
For 12 years, the course continued the grass operation. Then, in 1967, the private water company went out of business, and the only water source was through the city of Prescott. Over time, costs of maintenance spiraled. Membership dwindled as the city opened a championship 18-hole municipal course. And in 1969, exactly 50 years from its opening, the Hassayampa Country Club closed its doors.
You know, this was a sad time for Prescott, for the state, and a lot of people, including myself. Research tells us that the Hassayampa Country Club might well have been the first, therefore the oldest, annual fee-based private golf and country club in Arizona. I grew up here, caddied for some of Prescott's golfing legends. Ernie Bourne, Earl Mayer, Prescott's Mr. Golf, Henry Mack, Budge Ruffler, to name just a few. I even learned the terms and language of golf, some of the latter colorful, and when repeated at home, never forgiven by my mother. It was a great place to be, to enjoy it for all it was. Memories like these don't fade, they just get better.
25 years passed, during which nature returned a golf course back to pasture land. Still the picture postcard place it always had been, with its stands of ponderosa pine and one-of-a-kind settings. But golf was just a memory.
This was the rough, and I spent a lot of time out here looking for golf balls. On occasion, you can still find them if you look real hard. But I guess not today. This was number 6. A picturesque par 4. I never had the privilege of playing it, but I toted plenty of bags up it when I caddied as a kid here. And when you come back, you just can't help but be flooded with memories from days gone by.
In 1994, hope sprung eternal. Rumors began to surface. The stories grew and so did speculation. Hassayampa was given a new lease on life. 1 year later, what had been grist on the rumor mill became the resurrection of the dream of 1918. Scottsdale-based Desert Troon Companies, developer of the renowned Troon Country Club and Troon North courses, approached the Corey family and a purchase agreement was arranged. At the core of Troon's plans was an 18-hole world-class golf course rivaling their others, and the best the Southwest had to offer. Tom Weiskopf would be the designer. In addition, an upscale residential development would surround the course, which not only included the original golf course property, but 200 additional acres joining it. Construction began in the spring of 1996, with scheduled completion and opening of the golf course in October 1997. Water, that elusive resource that couldn't be harnessed, will be abundant now, thanks to a wastewater treatment plant on site, providing millions of gallons of reclaimed water for storage in reservoirs and golf course lakes. October 16, 1996, Desert Troon and their partners hosted a reunion of former Hassayampa Country Club members. It was a time to shake hands, recall familiar faces, dust off your memories of a special place they call Hassayampa.
Paul Skelton, Vice President, Golf and Club Operations for Desert Troon Companies.
Many of you have had the opportunity to experience a cocktail on the terrace at Hassayampa Country Club. So welcome back. As you were arriving tonight, I found it truly an enlightening experience as you each opened your car doors and the comments and beginnings of stories that I started to hear about, I feel like I'm pulling into the swimming pool.
We were losing our tees and greens for lack of water. And we couldn't figure out anything to do, and Mother Nature wasn't helping us. Suddenly the lake over here on 2 got full. Sprinklers are going, and we got grass growing. We got water everywhere. And this went on for about 7 months. The city of Prescott sent us a very nasty letter. And we had to have an emergency board meeting. That somehow we were bypassing the city meter over on it. There were only 2 of us in the whole free world that knew that got the guy at the water department to come out and show how to bypass the meter. And we must have gotten about 15 million gallons of water for this golf.
And then when I was an attorney in Phoenix for 20 years, Marty and I and the kids spent our summers up here. And I think that as we look back over our shoulders, notwithstanding all of the other interesting experiences in our lives, the 15 to 18 years at the Hassayampa Country Club in Prescott are the greatest memories and the greatest lives.
Mr. Ogg playing at a tournament, Labor Day tournament here one day, and he was tied to the little old man on the first 9, was going to the second 9. And he's Mr. Ogg's a left-hander, so he sliced the ball on number 2 out in the rough. And the little old man had his wife with him, and his wife walked out in the rough with Ogg, and Ogg took a whack in the weeds. He hit the ball and he missed it. And his wife hollered across the fairway to her husband, "He took another one." The old man beat him like a drum.
The friendships that we made then are still friends today. We talk to each other, we call each other up, we know about each other. And just to think that as a result of the circumstances that brought us here tonight, a year from now, a year from today, you're going to see the most gorgeous golf course in the state of Arizona, which is going to be something that is not only going to preserve our memories, but it's going to refresh them.
Once again, the green expanses of fairways, some truly spectacular golf holes, visioned and created by Tom Weiskopf and his staff, and the most significant residential neighborhood in Prescott will be a reality in a few short months. It won't be fully completed for some years to come, but as it blossoms, it'll be a thrill to see. Somewhere I'm sure Harvey Corey and the founding builders are smiling. There will be a Hassayampa to last forever.